So do we know yet just how far we might be asked to travel for example, an operation on an ingrown toenail?
This hasn't cascaded down through the NHS yet. People do travel for some specialised services already. I've got patients who go to Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham. The occasional one goes to London for really specialised stuff, and that's just accepted. I think the issue here will be for what procedures. When I refer people now, I get a choice of the closest hospital, and one's a bit further away. And it's remarkable how many people want to stay local. And This is especially important when they're going to need to be followed up. Some things are one-off procedures and are really clearly probably one-off procedures. And people will travel and that's fine. There's a real problem when something unforeseen happens and they need proper follow-up and you lose that ownership and connection. And then, of course, there's a lot of things that do need regular follow-up afterwards. So I know behind this isn't just the procedures, there's an issue about the whole of outpatients and how secondary care are working. There's a hint that there's wanting a shift to cut those follow-ups. And as a GP, that gives me some concerns.
I can see that. I can see that because it's very disjointed. I mean, look, I get the point. If you're sending somebody for something very, very specialist, they'll understand the need to travel. But the indications that we've got, and they are only indications, is that people could get shifted around for fairly routine procedures. Paul, is all of this a sign that the NHS just can't cope and that the 5.8 million backlog of operations, that frankly, we're just not going to make a dent in this over the course of the next year or two?
I think we've still got COVID, and COVID's taking up some capacity in secondary care. In general practice, I think with the NHS, we've always been incredible value for money. You can have a good service, you can have a speedy service, or you can have capacity. With the funding we've got and the staffing we've got, you can no longer have all three. So you could have a good service with enough volume, but it wouldn't be quick. And you could have a good but speedy service, but you wouldn't have the capacity. This absolutely applies in general practice. It's why we're getting pilloried for a thing that's outside our control. But it's also happening in the hospitals. and that's where we're getting the waits, and they're not meeting the ongoing capacity requirements. And we have got a big backlog from that year of COVID quietness.
It's a massive. It's a massive backlog. And Paul, do you understand? And I know there are some people who have got very busy lives and travel to work, and going to see a GP to get, for example, the renewal of a prescription is a bit of a nonsense. So a very quick Zoom consultation makes sense. I understand that. But do you understand the growing public anger about the lack of face-to-face consultations from GPs?
Well, I know even this week, in general practice across the country, we've gone back up to 2/3 face-to-face.
Good.
And the public will be getting that. To be honest, it doesn't, apart from not really wanting to see acute COVID patients to infect the rest of my waiting room, it makes very little difference whether I see people face-to-face or by telephone or by video. And I'm happy to do all of them. And for a significant number, the telephone or video works really well. They can get their follow-up sorted by their convenience, even from their own work. So I don't think it's going to go away, and it really ticks a lot of people's boxes. But the demand for face-to-face, that's fine. It's just the capacity, speed, and we're not Amazon Prime. We are not a conveyor belt. And if people want good quality, we're either going to have to do something about the capacity, or they're going to have to wait.
Yeah, well, I think that actually that final sentence sums up where we are